late afternoon, depending on where you kind of cut off your evening standpoint. I am here with the lovely Paul, and we are going to discuss a very big thing that you have got going on at the moment, and something that the town has been really needing for a while, since at least since the Knowles Arms unfortunately closed. So for those of you that aren't, for my people that are watching that aren't aware who you are, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of why we're having this little chat today, sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul, and I've started and run the Pork Pie Comedy Club, which is in Tubes in Melton. We're building up to basically do one a month, and maybe more in between. We did our first one in September, and our second one is at the end of November.
So let's start with how the Pork Pie Comedy Club came to be, because it seems to be from the summer you've just been all systems go, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. It was purely a personal passion thing to get it started. I've been in Melton for around 12, 13 years now. I've lived in Melton. Every time there's a big event on, or the big football tournaments, or like you saw the attendance at the fireworks last weekend, and there's always a huge turnout. It's a big town. There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that seem to think there's not enough to do in Melton,
Yes.
which seems to be a running theme. And personally, being a big comedy fan, love going to the live shows, the clubs all around. I'm from Nottingham originally, so mostly the Nottingham shows, but wherever I go away for the weekend, holidays, whatever, always try and find the comedy club and enjoy the night. Having a look for a club around Melton, and it's basically Leicester or Nottingham. There's the odd one. There's a few in Rutland that do the pubs and things, but I thought Melton was big enough. There's enough people here. There's enough market for it. So why not give it a go, and let's have one in Melton Mowbray? Why not?
Yeah, because I was thinking this before we went and had our chat today. The last time up until you setting this up that we really had a quote unquote regular comedy light would have been when it was Wax Lyrical, way back in the days that the Knowles Arms was open. Now, obviously, that's been quite a while now
Yeah.
since that's gone. So the fact you're bringing this back is, well, I don't even need to say I imagine very well, because you guys had a sold out show in September. So how did that feel to have your first ever show be not only sold out, but sold out, what, 2, 3 plus weeks before
It was,
the
yeah,
date itself?
it was crazy, to be honest. It's one of them things you sort of, you have a look. It is a business, but like I say, it's a passion thing for me, really. So I took the gamble, as it were. I invested the money in the setup, the marketing, paying the comedians in advance. They're all professional comedians, so they all get paid. It's not a hobby thing. It's a proper professional comedy club. So to see it all come to fruition, basically, and sell out, yeah, it was unbelievable. And it sort of, it took away any fears of, should we do this? Can we do this? Does Melton want it? Is it big enough? Is the room big enough? Is it too big? How does the sound work? How does the setup work? There's a lot of work that went into it behind the scenes. So to sell it out a few weeks in advance, and there was about 40 on the waiting list, as you know. She was one of
Yes.
them, sadly. But yeah, it was brilliant, and the night itself went well. So it's given us the confidence to basically book in the dates for next year, and yeah, get it as a regular thing, and make it a permanent fixture. That's the goal.
So yeah, so we might touch on the next year's dates right at the end, very end of the chat that we have today, because obviously the main reason I wanted to talk to you today was your next upcoming club,
Yeah,
which is at the end of this month.
yeah,
So obviously you've set up this sold out night in September. it's gone a success, so the bar is already going to be incredibly high. How are you planning to jump what is going to be a very high bar for you to make that leap?
It's basically more of the same. It's a lot of the a lot of it is in the marketing and just trying to get the message out there and make sure that people know it's there. There's a lot of people that were there in September that have rebooked for November, which is brilliant. So hopefully we get that core of regular followers, as it were, which is brilliant. But we've also got a really good professional comic, John Pearson, that's headlining. John's from Melton Mowbray. I think he did a lot of shows at the Knowles Arms.
Yes.
Played the comedy. Is it the comedy forum that's on at the theatre a couple of times a year? And John's a national professional comedian. He's all around the country every week playing the big clubs, all the big clubs you've heard of, the Just the Tonics in Nottingham, all the main clubs. Little old Pork Pie Comedy Club, the new club in Melton Mowbray, has been lucky enough to book John for the 29th of November. So that'll be good.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I know people, as soon as you announced that this was going to be a thing, people were already calling out for John, and obviously John had confirmed that he'd already booked in with you. Now, obviously, I personally don't know. Well, I've seen John obviously do stand up when he was doing his work at the Knolls, and he is incredibly funny, and I can attest to that. But I always make a joke within my circles that it's not a proper Melton Mowbray neighbourhood watch kickoff unless John Pearson has somehow managed to throw a joke or five into the fray. I feel the man this week as Mr. Couple of Corkers. Clearly, we're being that busy. But no, he's been not. There's not just John, is it? It's not just the John Pearson show. You've got a
No,
variety of
definitely
other
not.
comedians
Yeah,
leading up to him. So tell me a bit about those comedians as well.
we got it's a relatively local show, to be honest. In comparison to September, we had a couple of guys come down from the Wirral or the Liverpool way. We had the MC came over from Birmingham. We had one come up from London, and another from Leicester, I think it was. I'm forgetting now. I've spoken to so many since. People coming from all over, but in on the 29th of November, we've got John Pearson headlining. Obviously a local guy, Melton Mowbray. We've got Carl Jones, who is again another professional comedian. He's the MC for the night. So for those that don't know the way the night's structured, there was a lot of people that came to the first night that hadn't been to a live comedy show before. So as I'm introducing them, it might be a good idea just to sort of explain how the night's structured, if you
Yeah,
like.
that'd be brilliant.
So you have what we call the MC or the compere, some clubs will call it. And that's basically the person that holds everything together for the night. So they'll do the introduction, a lot of the crowd work in between the intervals. They'll introduce the other comedians on. They'll do their own bits, sort of 5 or 10 minute slots here and there as they're introducing the next act, building up to the intervals, coming back after the intervals. So we have the MC throughout. That's Carl Jones. He's a Midlands comic, but again, he's a professional that does his thing up and down the country every week. Then we have what you refer to as an opener, which is the first comedian. That's Sarah Johnson for this one. She's a Leicester-based stand-up comedian. Again, she's brilliant. She's done some acting stuff. She's done some podcasting stuff. She's a festival regular. She does the Edinburgh Fringe every year. So again, a real good, solid professional comic. She's brilliant. It's really interesting being this side of it, because as you advertise for these slots and as you put the dates out there to the industry, as it were, to ask for applications, you get sent all the different video links and people applying for the role. So I sort of just sit laughing watching them all, and then I have to try and choose who's who and fit the right sort of things together, if you like. So that's Sarah doing the opening. She'll do sort of a 20-25 minute slot depending how the night's going. Then there'll be an interval. And then we have what you call middles, which is it's difficult to find the right words to describe the middles without sounding off. But they're all brilliant comedians. They're all really good. They're all professionals. They do what they do. The middles are shorter sets. So sometimes you've got you've got fully fledged professional comedians that are maybe trying new material and they're doing
Yeah.
small sets, or you've got your more sort of up and coming acts, or your acts that aren't quite established yet as your headliners, if you like.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean in any way that they're not as good or not as funny or whatever.
No.
They're just at different stages. So we have, after the first interval, just Sarah will come on and do the 20-minute slot. Then we have an interval for drinks. And then we have two middles, which is we've got a guy called Cameron Jones, who's a Northwest guy, really good, again, really funny, a little bit different. And another local guy called Stephen Hampton. Stephen's based in Melton Mowbray. Again, he's a couple of years into his comedy journey, if you like. He's done gong shows. He's won events, local events. He's been around doing things for a few years now. So again, it's just something a bit different, something a little bit quirky. And I'm looking forward to seeing Stephen on the night, again, being a local guy. And then after that, another interval, fill your drinks up, do what you need to do, and then it'll be over to John to finish up the show. Again, a 20-25 minute slot, depending how the night pans out. With Carl again in between, introducing John and seeing off the acts and introducing the intervals and all the rest of it. All the time while we've got the DJ playing the songs, getting the lighting right, that kind of thing for the intervals, and the introduction music as the comedians walk on. So there's a lot of organising that's gone into it. It's a pretty standard routine, if you like. If you go to comedy clubs all around the country, you'll see that kind of format where you'll either have 3 20-minute slots, or an opener and a closer doing 20 minutes, and then a couple of middles doing 10-minute slots. But yeah, we're just trying to find the best comedians that are available, the best comedians that want to come and play in Melton Mowbray. It's a new audience for a lot of them, which is quite good for them. And yeah, fitting them all in, so you've sort of, although they're all individually good, it's got to work as a show and make sure they're all a bit different. If they was all too similar, by the third or fourth, you'd be hearing the same old stuff. So it's quite what's the word? The way it's put together and choreographed, for want of a better word, to make sure
sort of like an art collage as well. You got to make sure it all fits together to make the image or the vibe that you kind of want it to go for.
Absolutely, yeah. And we want people to turn up, hit the ground running with the MC and the opener, enjoy it, and then want to stay for the entire show, but still enjoying it at the end of the show and going away happy that they've had a good night. That's the goal.
So I did wonder something, obviously, when you announced the September one, and obviously a while ago, well, I say a while as if it was ages ago, but a few weeks ago now, obviously I interviewed the guys from Meltdown, and obviously they'd said that they'd previously used Tubes for their events, and then so it made sense for them to use Tubes for their revival that happened a couple of weeks ago now.
Yeah.
But obviously you're something completely new. So what made you think, right, Tubes is the place that fits what I'm going for here?
So again, from being from Nottingham, there was a comedy club in the Nottingham, there still is one in Nottingham, called Just the Tonic, which is one of the big clubs. It's known nationally, all the big names. They're currently at a sort of a theatre kind of venue at the minute in Nottingham. But when I first got into comedy 15 years ago, maybe, they were at a nightclub called the Forum in Nottingham. And just the way it was set out, the way the stage worked, the way the bar was in the room, the way the seating was a bit more relaxed. It was sort of everybody sat around in a club, and the way the sounds worked and the way the music worked with the DJ system. It just, for me, I wanted to try and replicate the way I remember that club feeling when I was new to it all them years ago. And for me, there were a few other options around Melton, but for me, solely for that reason, really, and the fact that Tubes is pretty iconic. Again, it's a funny thing in Melton. It's people of Melton like to sort of have a little dig at things. You know, there'll be people who have a laugh at Tubes and, oh God, I'm going to Tubes, been to Tubes, I haven't been to Tubes for years and all that. But it's an iconic venue within Melton, and it's a brilliant venue, and the guys that run it have been amazing, really supportive, and it just fits. The room itself is the perfect size for us at the minute, the way it is. And everybody that was there in September seemed to agree. So fingers crossed, we've got it right in terms of the venue.
Yeah, because that's the beauty of Melton, and I feel it's something that's not discussed enough, that each venue that we have here does have its own strengths and weaknesses, and what might work for one person might not necessarily work for the other, or vice versa. And
Yeah.
clearly that's the sort of, if you found that particular place works for you, then that's can only be a great thing for both parties. So obviously it's all well and good as having this chat, but the reason we're having this chat is because we want people to book their tickets for November's show. So how do they go about booking said tickets?
So you can follow us on Facebook, Pork Pie Comedy Club page on Facebook. That's got all the details on there. You'll see the QR codes everywhere. There's a couple of banners around town. There's a couple of posters up in a few of the coffee shops, but on all of them you'll see the QR code, which I think we've got down here somewhere as
We
well
do
on
have a QR
this.
code, yes.
So that'll take you to a third party booking site, basically, called Ticket Source, and it's basically there. You pay in advance, you pay online, you get a digital ticket, and you turn up on the night, and we'll scan you in.
And it is super important that you guys book these tickets in advance, because I'm expecting November to sell out before probably next week after, an absolute push if we're really, really slugging it. But this will sell out, guys. Because we've already said, the September one was gone like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if
There's,
you are
there's always
wanting
a
to
bit of
go,
a there's always a bit of a rush towards the date, if you like, within
yes,
the last month. It's funny watching the way the tickets sell, if you like, because I get all the background information, and you get the influx at the beginning, which we've had, and then it sort of peters out. And you get a steady stream, and then in the month leading up to it, it ramps up. I assume that's, I don't know, people get paid monthly, and maybe they plan their month ahead, and I don't know, and book the tickets, but that's the way it works. So I'm hopeful of another sellout if we can do it. We're about 60, 70. I'm not sure what the numbers are today. I've not checked today, but we're about 60 odd, 70% sold out. And we've got, it's what, 3 weeks today. So yeah, not long to go. If you want to make sure you can pay on the door, we have said that, but we've got to stress that the venue is limited on numbers, and once it's
not
sold, it's
guaranteed.
sold. So if you don't want to risk missing out, then get your tickets booked.
So, one more thing before we wrap up this conversation. Obviously, you did allude at the very start of our chat that you've got dates booked in for 2025.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind me asking, when in 2025 are you putting these on as well?
So we've basically got every month bar a few, and that just depends on how the Fridays fall, if you like. We're
Yeah.
kind of aiming at the last Friday of the month, but it doesn't always sit right with other things happening in the town, or other festivals, comedy festivals happening. But we've basically got February, March, April, June, August, September, October, and December.
Oh, wow. So
That's
you're
the plan
going
for next year.
10 out of 12 next year
One,
then?
two, three, 4, 5. Yeah. So we're going for the whole lot. That's the plan. We may stick a couple of specials in the gaps, if you like. Again, depending how it goes. It's all still relatively new. So the attitude I've gone with is, if the people of Melton keep buying the tickets, and the people of Melton want it, then we'll keep doing it, and we'll do more and more.
As
That's
long as there's demand, you're happy to supply.
Absolutely, yeah. It's good fun. I enjoy the night. The first one was a little bit stressful because I wanted everything to go right, and I wanted to make sure everybody was in the right place at the right time and all the rest of it. But again, these guys are professionals that we're booking. They do this week in, week out, multiple nights a week, and they know what they're doing. So I've got to get them in the right place, organize the event, organize the tickets and everything else, and then on the night they do their thing, and everybody leaves having a good night.
Right. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your what I imagine is a very busy time at the moment to have this chat. Folks, if you like what you heard, feel free to grab those tickets. You can scan the QR code or go through via that link. I've got to sign off now because my dad has called me twice for dinner, and I think reasons